Hello, everybody out there in Twitch and YouTube land. I could tell you wholeheartedly that going into this sequel that felt like it was never going to come out, that I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what the hell this movie was going to be, what they were going to go for. I knew it had Goose's kid, and that Iceman was going to be in it for a little bit. I could tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I did not expect to leave a movie theater crying from a Top Gun sequel.
Not just once, not just twice, but a handful of times.
Yeah, anyone that knows me at all and has been paying attention on this channel knows that I am a sucker for surrogate father figures.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of this movie left me in tatters. I don't know. I thought it was gonna kind of derail its whole ending with how it went, but then it didn't. So, yeah. Before we get too far out of it, Mike, what do we got going on for a synopsis here?
Okay, so obviously this movie takes place more than 30 years after the events of the original. And 30 years later, Pete Maverick Mitchell is where he belongs, pushing the envelope as a courageous test pilot and dodging the advancement in rank that would ground him. Training a detachment of graduates for a special assignment, Maverick must confront the ghosts of his past and his deepest fears, culminating in a mission that demands the ultimate sacrifice from those who chose to fly it. So we did our fresh takes for the original Top Gun,
which came out today for all those knowing of recording this. It came out today. We are recording this the Thursday of. This will be out on Friday for everyone watching it on Twitch.
So I only just saw the original recently, and while it's certainly a product of its time, I can definitely see why people love it. This movie's a masterpiece.
It is borderline illegal how well this movie turned out.
It would have been so easy for this to just be like a soulless nostalgia cash grab with Tom Cruise just kind of phoning it in. Mm-hmm. But not only is this one of the best action movies of the year, certainly, of the past decade, probably. I think this is definitely Tom Cruise's best performance. And the movie, the screenplay gives him plenty of room to actually give his character like plenty of depth. Like, this isn't just a repeat of the story of the original. This like actually is a sequel.
Yes. And I will give it credit. I need to rewatch A Few Good Men one more time before I say I like this better of a Tom Cruise performance, and I do that. But this is a very much a sequel that builds off the first, but it does things that I like, where they very much go, we're going to give you something new, but we remember what you guys like, and we're going to let you know what you came here for. Mm-hmm. They literally redo the beginning of the first movie, sequence and all, just updated. I thought crescendo of Danger Zone even.
I thought for a split second like that was the original, you know, with the sunset and everything.
Oh, that was gorgeous.
They really do redo the entire opening sequence.
I was a kid, like his first time going to an amusement park, when I realized just how in depth they were doing this when Danger Zone hit. This is not a movie that I saw until I was like, I want to say 24. So I have no sentimental attachment to this movie whatsoever. It is my second mother, Michaela's favorite movie. So I've seen it a lot because it's one of the ones we watch together when I go down there. And it's always hold a special place in my heart. And when I saw that coming up, I'm just like, man, I feel that first time over again, and it doesn't try to make you think, hey, this is that cool thing again. It just makes it feel familiar.
Yep.
It's weird to say that where it's not punching you in the face with it. It's just acting like this should be there.
Yeah. No, they do a good job of doing the nostalgia beats, but doing them with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like Miles Teller doing the whole Great Balls of Fire sequence.
Oh,
and
the second I saw there was a piano in that bar. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that whole sequence I love. Also, Jennifer Connelly plays love interest, and if you've been paying attention to the original, her name is Penny Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Who they've mentioned like a couple times just in passing, but this is the first time you actually get to see her, and yeah, she's great.
It was. And she's a part of another story beat redo later at the end there, which I thought was pretty freaking slick. But yeah, it's never a bad thing when you can get Jennifer Connelly in there.
Nope.
So certainly wasn't complaining. And it redo all of it, and immediately you get to see it like, okay, it's 30 years later, Maverick's grown up a little, and you get to see the test of this new plane. So he's like still at the top of cutting edge technology and trying to help people just do flying. I love how they kept in that he does not give a rat's ass about rank. He just wants to fly some damn planes. And I love that.
That's honestly pretty relatable. Like there are some people who don't want the promotion. They just want to do the thing that they love.
Exactly. And him going out there to risk his ass to never fly again to help these people get more time to still get manned planes in the air, which I didn't know that was going to be part of the angle for this, but I like that a lot, where it's like you really can't outdo the human instinct. You can do a lot of it with calculations, but in moments like that, a computer can't think like a human at all costs. So I really like that was a little bit of a tinge of what they were going through with that, which I didn't know they were going to. And then I love how they had Ed Harris in there for 20 seconds. Who can we get to look like a crotchety old military officer? Ed Harris.
He's perfect for that role. Like he's literally only in that one scene,
Yeah.
and he still gets a with credit.
He does. It's fantastic. Oh, it was wonderful. And of course, I just love how they're like, it's 10 G's, Maverick. Not 10, not 10.1, not 10.2, not 10.3. For the love of God, it's just 10. We need to bring that thing back. And I love how they don't even try to explain to you how the crash happens. With that little kid deserves an award for the part. Where are you? Where am I? Earth? Oh, that was so good.
Oh, that kid.
Oh, it was great. Everybody was great in this. You get like similar beats again at the bar where they're meeting up and stuff like that. You get to be everyone going around the obvious whatevers, and I like how they kept it very much vague. Why Rooster and him don't get along until later on, and then they even expand upon that even later on, because it really puts some depth on how much of a selfless thing Maverick is doing. He's just kind of sin-eatering the whole thing, taking it on himself. But yeah, and I was like, does Miles Teller really look that? And then he's like, yeah, that was perfect casting.
It's not even just the mustache. It's the fact that like he embodies Honestly, though, he kind of embodies both Goose and Maverick at the same time.
He does.
And
also,
Maverick was kind of like the surrogate father figure, so it kind of makes sense.
It makes sense. And it also helps that he's head and shoulders taller than Tom Cruise, which is not a hard thing to achieve.
Nope.
But both Goose and Maverick were tall boys. Or, I mean, Goose was a tall boy, so it makes sense that Rooster is a tall boy as well. So I like they kept that in there. And I like how you had some of the similar dynamics with the pilots. You had your new Iceman, pretty much. Had to act like the hard ass. And I didn't know to what extent we were actually going to get Val in this movie. But I remember reading some interview about how Val wanted if he was going to have a cameo, for it to actually mean something. He just didn't want it to be something. Like, this is a movie that this is the first time in a movie in a long time that I felt like every single person involved really, really gave a shit about this movie.
Before we get too far deep into it, we do have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. There's a very important character who is not in this movie, nor is she even mentioned.
It is weird. It is very weird. I don't know why. It's Charlie, right?
Yep.
I don't know. And I've never seen any reason why, even outside of movie production, why she's not.
I mean, I know for a minute she retired from acting, to spend time with her family. She has since kind of made somewhat of a return, but I don't think it was ever made clear why either she didn't want to come back or was never invited back. And it's not really a make or break point in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm biased because I just love Jennifer Connelly that much.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it is something worth discussing.
It is, and the weird part is basically everyone who's not in this movie that was worth mentioning is announced as dead.
Yeah.
Except her. That's so weird. It's just one of those weird things where all of a sudden I'm reading this thing and I'm listening to the movie, I'm like, I swear to God, her character's name was Charlie, not Penny. And I'm like, no, Penny was someone else. I'm like, what? I'm waiting for her to be at the hangar at some point, and I'm like, what is this? But she's just not there. And I'm like, if you're going to show that other person, I'm like, yeah, that works. I mean, if they were going to bring Penny in, and it would have been weird to I guess have them both be there, because the love triangle is something this movie did not need.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but
I guess in universe you could kind of explain it away, their relationship only lasted a few months and then they just kind of went their separate ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, but yeah, that was weird. That was the one outlying really weird thing. But it is what it is. I don't think we're ever really going to get an answer on that, to be perfectly honest. The only other interesting tidbit before we do too much with plot is I saw an article. I would love to know. Do we know what the budget for this movie is?
Let me see.
All right, while you're looking that up, I was
scanning 170 million.
170 million. Cool. I would love to know how many hours they shot with the jets, because apparently, according to the article I read, it was. I'm gonna let you guess. How much do you think it was per hour to rent those jets for filming?
Per hour, couple $100,000.
$11,000 an hour.
Jesus.
A day, 8 hours of filming was $88,000. They probably spent $1 million just filming with those jets.
Probably.
But it was worth it. like you even had Tom at the beginning of the movie sit down like, this stuff's real. You're seeing actual G's done by actual stuff, and it's like you could tell that this shit was thought of. They were like, if we are making a Top Gun sequel, we are making a Top Gun sequel.
Yeah, like there's a reason they had to wait X amount of years for basically the technology to catch up.
Oh, and the weird part is, like, we could talk ad nauseum about all of our favorite moments and stuff like that, but this movie, to a degree, follows the same structure as the first one did. You have introduction and thing Maverick does to irritate X blank officer. He gets called to Top Gun. Training happens. Thing.
The one difference, besides the fact that this time, instead of even like pretending that it's the Russians, they just flat out don't even name the enemy.
They just say it is under United Nations, and they went, I just love that. It's in an area where you did a no-no, and we need to get rid of them. I love that.
And there is a little bit more urgency with the mission.
Yeah.
They're given what, like 3 weeks to learn.
Yeah.
To learn like a very specific maneuver.
That you have to have Maverick basically come up with on the fly of how they're going to deal with it, because you could tell that it's a Cyclone? That Cyclone had no idea how they were going to handle this, and then Maverick just walks and he's like, well, you're going to have to do this, there, this, and that. And you're like, that seems impossible. I'm like, you didn't exactly come in here to tell you it was going to be easy now, did you? What's up, Manny? Good to see you, buddy. But yeah, you get into this, and immediately we get the ragtag group of folks. And I love hearing the call signs, and all that stuff is great. And people don't know this about me. Before I adopted the name Organoid Zero, everything in my creator wrestlers, my whatevers on everything I ever did, I always used the name Phoenix. It's my favorite mythological creature of all time. I love that name to death. It's my favorite StarCraft character. It's everything. I always use the name Phoenix. So I was so happy when someone finally had the call sign Phoenix. But yeah, and it was a nice group of weirdos. Like I said, it kind of follows the same thing. Not everybody had. I thought it was weird that they chose to let some people just not have their co-pilots.
Yeah, so like I think Rooster and maybe like one other.
I think it was only Rooster and Hangman.
Oh wow, yeah, they were the only two without co-pilots.
And obvious reasons. Eventually, Rooster was going to do the thing, so you couldn't have him have a co-pilot. Otherwise, he would have to go bye-bye, and then he would have had another head to hang over. And then again, Hangman had to go, nope, screw ya, I'm doing blank and blank at the end. So, but anyway, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the plot here. So the whole thing comes off, and obviously you saw in the trailers that Rooster and Maverick do not get along. And we kind of just assumed from the trailers that he was like, I got my dad killed. No, it was actually a lot more mature than that. I was kind of shocked. Maverick, when he was still like in a little bit tighter knit before he, was being Maverick again, got his flight papers pulled.
And that was his mother's dying wish.
That was his mom's dying wish, because she did not want him to fly. And he told nobody that until he was talking with... Who did he tell that to?
I think Penny.
Was it Penny? Yeah, it was Penny. Oh yeah, that's right, when they were in bed together. He told that to Penny because he didn't want to... He's like, he's already got him pissed at me. Why do I need him to be pissed at his mom? Which might be the most mature thing Maverick has ever done. I would say it is.
He was really in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
He's like, yeah, exactly. Nobody is being helped because A, that would either get him pissed off at his mom, or B, he would not believe him, and it would get him more pissed off at Maverick. So it's that situation. It's like you kind of got to do what you kind of got to do, and I just thought it was weird that like somehow some people in that flight academy didn't know that Maverick flew with Goose.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be a bigger deal since they were like two of the top pilots.
Yeah, there's pictures of them everywhere, and you can't tell me everyone didn't hear about how Maverick took out 3 guys in a Meg, or 3 Megs in a F-14. Of course they heard. And so what the whole thing is, again, is this uranium deposit, and they have to do this basically Death Star trench at 100 feet above the ground. That's insane. That is literally and figuratively insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just enough off the coast to where the trench run starts immediately off of there. And again, man, just this training in the pilots, that training sequence where they're just showing like, hey, man, we really cared about making sure you feeling like you're in the pilot seat through that whole thing. That whole montage of training was great.
Oh yeah. I honestly loved all of the flight sequences in this.
It was. And it was a lot of showing how much Maverick, giant quotation fingers here, grew up, was what a good chunk of what this training was. And him stealing a plane to go, no, pardon my French, people, fuck you, Cyclone. I'm going to show you this can get done. Excuse me, Maverick. We didn't show you had any presentations going on our way. He's like, yeah, because I didn't. Click. Just, boom! It just rockets through with 15 seconds to spare. Just John Hamm in the window. Well, shit. We're going to extend your time to 4 minutes, and all of them go, what? Are you daft?
They all look like, what the fuck are you doing?
Guy, we were getting caught at 3 minutes. What are you talking about? You guys are going to get in the... He's like, yeah, don't worry. You're just going to have to be in a cat fight. Or in a dog fight. What if they catch us in a trench, dumbass? You're going to have Sam Sights plus being caught by...
You can tell Cyclone was really not good at his job.
No, and he didn't want to be at his job. He was pissed that he even had to be in his situation. But seeing again that they had the redemptive moment where it's like, and I have to risk my job and make you the leader. And he's like, sir, that was a rhetorical. I'm pretty sure Cyclone's asking you a rhetorical question. But yeah, I have to ask you. A, when they didn't let them have their chat on the deck, did you think Maverick was dying?
Part of me had like I knew he wasn't, but there was a small sliver of a percentage that he might have.
Okay, my second question, because we're going to get to it later. Do you think it would have been more impactful if he did?
Okay, that is a tougher question.
Because I'm still wafting with that.
I can imagine a draft of the screenplay in which he does.
I bet the first one did.
I wonder if there were like early test screenings of Maverick dying, and the audience rejected it.
Could be.
Like, I don't think it would make the movie any better or worse if he did. It's just an interesting alternate ending.
It was, because they could have had things where like Rooster makes it back, and he basically has some monologue about how he's finally with Goose again. And there was some interesting stuff that could have gone on with that. But yeah, when I saw that Rooster wasn't getting away at the end from the launch of the SAM sites, and immediately you saw the break back, I'm like, don't do this. And you saw the ass end of that plane go down and take that missile. I'm like, he's gone. He's done. I'm like, they're not doing it. But then when I saw him on the ground, I'm like, you are not having Tom Cruise get shot by a plane. If he was dying, it was happening off screen. There's no way he's going to get gunned down because A, you weren't going to do it, and B, this movie's PG-13. But I will tell you, even me who knew he was not dying, I am like, Rooster, you better get your ass there. And the second that plane blew up with that side missile, I was just losing my shit.
That whole stretch, like between Maverick going down and Rooster finding him, some of the most tense moments in any Tom Cruise movie, again, let alone action movie in at least a decade.
And again, John Hamm going, you get your ass back on this carrier. And Hangman again going, I can go help them. You're going to make me sit here. He's like, you're not flying against them. I'm just like, dude, what did you say? Think? Don't think. You're in the air. Don't think. And, when they're at the most, oh my gosh, I was like, when they look at the freaking, I'm like, they're getting back. And as soon as I saw there was smoke where they were looking, I'm like, he's stealing an F-14. I just knew it. Just like, how are they going to get to that thing? I was just like, you're going to run. Goose, or like, Mav, there's people there. We should probably start running now. Okay.
Every movie, he's got to get one sprint in.
I would guarantee you it's in his contract writer at this point where he needs to show how good he is at running, even in snow.
I think it's even on his in his Twitter bio, professional runner.
I was going to say, there's no way humanly possible that he's not aware of that. But yeah, getting to see like Rooster see just how ancient these planes were. He's like, how do you know that bag of ass is even going to fly? Hey, I took down 3 megs in one of those things. And then Barely's like, this is a very small busway, Maverick. A very, very small busway. This is not a runway. Shit. I can't remember, but he drops an F-bomb at some point, and I was kind of waiting on that. Oh, yeah. Oh, it just, the maneuvers in that dogfight. Before we get to that dogfight, they're just smile and wave, dude. We have no idea. What's he singling map? I have no idea. What's it doing there? I don't know. I haven't seen that one either.
The dialogue in this movie is just hilarious.
They're totally ignoring. Yeah, we're just going to act like we're one of them. Forget the fact that we have non-matching helmets. They're not going to notice. Just smile and wave. If they knew who we are, we'd be already dead. Shit. It's not the plane, it's the pilot. I love that so much every single time. It is the aviator's way of saying it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Yep.
And also, like, man, that whole it was proper build up, it was all that, and again, you have the fake out with the ejector. I love that, where he couldn't eject. Do you know how spine chilling that had to be in that situation for Maverick?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he lost Goose because of an ejection failure, and now he's going to lose his son because of an ejection malfunction where he can't eject.
Thank God they both survived.
Yeah. When I was just like, Hangman, I swear on Christ. When that missile hit, I love how also, just to be dicks, they let the missile leave that plane and then it gets blown up and the missile explodes in the impact from the explosion of the jet. It's like, that was a good touch because they could have had it explode before it got the missile off.
No, the way they timed that was just perfect.
Oh, and like that dogfight leading up to that, when that dude breaks and does like a 360 to spin around him, and when he breaks, he's just like, even Maverick's going, I have no fucking idea how he did that. Oh, I can't get over that. This was so much love and care into that, and I will tell you, there was moments where I got close in this movie, and they basically just went, we're recreating the end of this movie, but we're making it a little bit more sentimental. Recreating the end of the first one, making it more sentimental. When he goes up, he gets pissed at him in the forest for coming back to him. He's like, I wanted to save your fucking life. I cannot do this to your dad. And then all going through, and then they get on the tarmac, and they're going through all this. And when he finally gets serious with him, and he says, thank you for saving, I'm going to start crying. He said, thank you for saving my life. He said, that's what my dad would have done. I was gone.
I knew this, like the second that moment happened, I could just hear the tears from you, like, and by that point you haven't even gotten to the that part yet.
No, I was gone. Oh, I was gone. Like, y'all sons of bitches made me cry in a Top Gun movie. Ow!
So I said there were like at least 3 times in the movie where I cried. That was the third time. The 2 others were Great Balls of Fire in the beginning,
yeah.
And Iceman's funeral.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We didn't even mention Iceman's scenes. The fact that he couldn't even speak.
We've known for a while that what's his name?
Val Kilmer?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Like we've known for a while that Kilmer was sick with some sort of cancer for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if like he was still feeling that during filming of this.
It very well could be, but I tell you, the way they work that in
It's
time.
Yeah, I don't think they could have like had a better use for this character than the way he was used here.
It was the fact that he's not hearing it. He has to read it on that monitor, and it's just saying there that it's time to let the past go. And the little bit that they talk, and before he leaves, one last thing: who's the better pilot? We got a good moment here. I don't want to ruin it. They were like, again, with how much care goes into this damn film. I guarantee you, they're like, we are not having this movie get shot if Iceman's not in it. And I like how he doesn't even refer to him as Iceman. He refers to him as Ice. He's even credited as Ice.
Yep.
And you get the fake out again, where like Tom goes to the house. Like in the first one, when Tom goes to the house, or not, like, yeah, whatever, and then it's vacated and she comes from behind. But this time it's like she's not there. She's seriously not there. She went on a boat trip. Do you know when she's coming back? No. And I tell you, the time that I almost cried again is he gets, all right, I'll go back to living my life. And he's working on that plane again. And after a couple of seconds, you see that Rooster's there with him, helping him work on it.
That was nice.
Oh.
And then even a few seconds later, they're working on the plane. He sees Penny's daughter.
Mm-hmm. The most 80s thing ever, leaning on the car, waiting for a man. I was like, how did you make a movie this 80s in 2022? How?
Oh, and by the way, for those who don't know, the director, Joseph Kaczynski, this is his second 80s sequel. He also did Tron Legacy, which is another awesome sequel.
Speaking of amazing legacy sequels, how in less than a year did we get this Knock It Out of the Park and also Ghostbusters Afterlife Knock It Out of the Park?
Right? That's honestly pretty incredible.
It's almost like hear it, and for everybody paying attention, I'm going to say it real clearly. When you care about the subject material and you put thought and purpose into it and make the movie because you want to, knowing full well if you do a good job, you'll then in turn make money, it turns out better.
Oh, and make no mistake, this movie is going to make a ton of money.
It is going to make bank. Because I tell you, I didn't know what kind of environment I was going to go into at my local movie theater with this. Thursday nights are normally pretty quiet. It's normally me and a select 5 normal people that go there on the preview nights. There was multiple people old enough to be my grand and great grandparents that I've never seen in that theater in my life before coming out of the woodwork because the Top Gun sequel came out. I'm going to go see the Top Gun sequel.
My theater wasn't like packed, but there were like there was a good stretch of time where there were like plenty of people like filing into the theater, which was good to see. It was. Like this movie. This movie finally being out is kind of like the sign that things are slowly coming back to normal.
When was this supposed to come out originally?
Let's take a look at the first release date.
Because I could tell you, I honestly don't have a freaking clue.
Okay. It was originally scheduled to be released by Paramount on July 12th, 2019, but was delayed to June 26, 2020, in order to shoot several complex action sequences. Okay, so first, we moved to June 2020.
Okay.
Then by March, Paramount moved the date up 2 days early to June 24th.
Okay, so for the first delay was for actual legitimate reasons. The
Yeah.
first one, then they moved it early.
Then it was moved to December because of COVID. And then on July 23rd, 2020, the film was delayed again to July 2nd, 2021. And then it was delayed to November. And then finally they settled on May 2022. So this has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different release dates before settling on the final.
Goodness gracious. And how long have they been trying to make this damn movie for?
The earliest development began in 2010.
Hey, you know what? If it takes this long and it turns out like that,
then it was worth it.
Take a decade. I don't care. Oh my gosh.
Now I know these like long-awaited sequels kind of can be hit or miss. You know, for every Mad Max Fury Road, there's a Blues Brothers 2000. for every The Force Awakens, there's Zoolander 2. And yes, I know comedy sequels have a worse track record than action.
Yes.
But still, if we're going to get more movies of like this quality, I don't care how long it takes to get a second installment, as long as you put in the work to make a quality film.
Absolutely. We have a comment here. So this film was very old school, very cheesy, very nostalgic, and it all worked 9 out of 10. I will say it had I would say like an eighth of the cheese factor of the original film. There was still some there, but they dialed back on that a bit because obviously this was more emotional, but it still had it there. It still very much had it there. But yeah, no, I'd agree. It like we said earlier, it felt like they made a 80s movie that happened to look like it was made in 2000s.
One thing we haven't mentioned yet is the music. Like everyone knows how great the first everyone knows how great the first Top Gun soundtrack is. I love this one.
Mm-hmm. And they reuse a lot of stuff. The ending thing on the tarmac or the landing pad of the plane, the beginning score, freaking Danger Zone again, which no one would have let it go if they didn't have that in there somewhere.
Nope.
I was partially expecting in the middle of that dogfight that they were going to hit Danger Zone again. But yeah, it was great. The music was awesome. How someone thought Lady Gaga was needed, but it still worked.
Actually, I really like the Lady Gaga theme, partially because it sounds like it could have been produced in the 80s.
Yeah.
And also, she's just a really talented songwriter.
Yeah. I'm not the hugest fan of her music, but I do think she is incredibly talented, which a lot of people need to understand about a lot of things. People can be talented even though you don't like what they make.
Oh, yeah.
That is a thing that no one seems to be able to comprehend most days.
Yeah, some people are really like they can't see past their own nose. So if they don't like something, that means nobody should.
Exactly, and it's also made badly. The only part that was weak to me was the look. We kind of talked about that earlier, where she kind of just comes in and it's there. It's one of those where you had to pay attention to the previous movie. And I will admit they could have done maybe a little bit better of a job establishing that, but I still think it worked.
I also understand if people are a little bit miffed that, again, not even a mention of Charlie.
Exactly. There's not even a picture.
Yeah,
unless I missed it.
It really does seem like she's just gone. Maybe she might have been in she might have been in some archival footage, but even then, it does kind of feel like her character was just completely erased.
Mm-hmm. And it was one of those. I don't even know if they had scenes in mind, but it felt like it would derail the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and it does.
Go ahead.
It does kind of seem like they were in a. They were kind of in between a rock and a hard place in terms of whether or not to even reintroduce her. I'm completely fine with Penny's role in the film.
Yeah,
because she.
I forgot about one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie when Maverick is sneaking out through the window. This is the last time I'm sneaking out through your window. I have to set a good example for my daughter. Cool. Drops down and immediately sees him. But I love that it's like, sorry, don't break her heart and we're okay. I was like, holy crap.
That was a nice swerve. I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah. There was a lot of times where they could have went for jokes, but they were very serious in this movie. That was cool. This I will agree for a degree. I'm not exactly sure which Disney movie you're speaking of, but I will say that I do agree that this is almost exactly how a sequel should be done in a lot of aspects with everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, anything else?
Did you see this in Dolby or just
No.
regular?
This is my regular theater. I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what the closest Dolby I have is, but I could tell you, even in the hometown theater that I have in town, this thing sounded great. Oh, Star Wars! I'll put that up on there. Yeah. Consecutive straight details throughout movies. I'll agree with you on that one. That'll get a mention. Yeah, those Star Wars sequels, continuity was not a factor. But yeah, you were saying Dolby. Bet it sounded amazing.
It did. And naturally, I'm going to be seeing it again on Memorial Day.
I have a good feeling. Like I mentioned, my second mom, Michaela, her favorite movie is the original. And I'm going to go see them this following Wednesday before I leave to go to a buddy of mine's wedding in Texas. And we leave Thursday morning. I'm going to try and talk my surrogate dad into seeing Top Gun that Wednesday with her. I want to try so bad. But yeah. This is really good.
Right now, I think this movie is honestly tied for first with Everything Everywhere All at Once. God, 2022 has been a banger year for film.
It is ridiculous. And it makes me feel like you said that we're finally getting out of the crap. It feels really good to be consecutively going to the movies and seeing bangers coming out. It feels great.
And honestly, the summer has only just begun.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. But yeah, anyway, let us get the heck on out of here. That has been fun. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on Podchaser and the Banana Meter. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. Also, we have a YouTube channel.
Yes, we do have a YouTube channel. Finally, we're still kinking the works for how we want to do that. There is an overall plan, but we got to kind of figure out how we're going to start circulating it. We're finally getting the pieces together. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we have all of it going on. And you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero. I am on a lot of the RPC stuff. I'm not technically an RPC member, but more and more it feels like I'm just a sister channel that happens to do a lot with it. It's more like I'm the unofficial adopted kid that they keep bringing to family gatherings that eventually at some point will get in the family tree. It's just a minor detail, but yeah, love everybody over at RPC, and we're gonna keep doing stuff. I can't tell you something that we basically have the final version of that's going to be coming up on this channel, but it has to do with our next Fresh Takes, and it looks really cool. I'm really proud of it. I'm probably going to have a copyright content strike on that on every video I use with it, but it won't get taken down. I just won't be able to make money off. But guess what? I don't make money off these videos anyway, so I don't care. But all right, yeah, we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Peace.